This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Anna Sothen.
Fantastic. Hi, good afternoon, Southside. This is Anna Sothen. I'm your executive producer and host of the Good Neighbor Podcast, Southside, Richmond, Virginia. And I'm super excited to have Adriana Duarte here this evening with us. I'm so excited that she's here. She and I just met recently, right? It's probably been maybe not even 4 weeks that we met.
Right.
And we met through a mutual friend. But she is... She's a mortgage loan officer with Core Mortgage, and I'm super excited to have her with us because, I mean, let's be honest, right? The real estate agent is a hot industry, rather, not agent. The real estate industry right now is a hot topic, hot button, right? So everybody's talking about interest rates, homes, what's available, what's not available. So I'm excited to have you here and sort of have those conversations with people about what's going on and what you're seeing, not only in your industry, but what's happening in our area as well too. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about your business.
So I am a mortgage loan officer. So what I do is I love helping people get into homes. My part of that is I help them get the loan to be able to purchase a home. And to me, it's so important because I feel like a lot of people don't know enough. Like I know when I bought my first house, I didn't know what I was doing. I just said, okay, tell me where to sign. So I feel like it's very important that I explain the whole process to them. And, whenever I sit down with them, like they leave feeling knowledgeable of what just we went through, in terms of like the paperwork and the rates and the numbers and all that stuff, because it can get confusing.
Absolutely. Well, I remember the first time I signed, and I was fairly young. I was like 24 years old when we bought our first home. And I just remember I was signing my life away. Like there's, mounds and mounds of paper that just continue to go. And I didn't know I had no idea. And I will tell you that my real estate agent and our mortgage loan officer didn't share any of that information. So, I could very well have signed away my first child and not known about it. So I think education is a huge, is very beneficial to anybody who is buying a home. I think education is essential. So tell us a little bit about your journey, because like I said, we just met, and I know you just recently moved to the area. So tell me a little bit about your journey. Like, how did you get into this industry?
So, I was a stay-at-home mom for a long, long, long time. And I decided to go back to work. And one of the things that I was worried about is, I've been gone for so long from corporate America. And I'm like, I don't know what my good skills are. I don't know anything. I can make good lunches. I can balance stuff, for my house, for my kids. But to do all that good stuff, I was really nervous. So I was very blessed to have my brother-in-law who was in the industry. He had been in the industry for, I believe, over 5 years already. So they had given him a team, and I figured, you know what, maybe I can just file paperwork for him, answer phones, something simple, like administrative stuff. And so I got introduced into the mortgage business by him. And I just remember, I'll never forget when I told my sister that I wanted to do it. She said, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm sure." She said, "Are you sure? Because, it's a roller coaster. And when I'm telling you, it goes good highs and really bad lows." And I'm like, "Nah, I can do it." Yeah, she wasn't kidding. But anyway, so I got my foot in the door that way, and was very, very, very blessed to be able to be around knowledgeable loan officers, very seasoned, they worked so hard and they had such integrity that I wanted to learn. And I moved my way from being a receptionist into being a loan officer, I'm going to say within less than a year. So, wow. And I was taught by them. So I feel like, I was very, very lucky and very blessed, obviously.
That's awesome. Well, that's fantastic. So there's a lot of misconceptions and myths about the loan industry, right? So tell me some of those myths or misconceptions that you hear about in your industry. Share those with us.
In terms of like my job or how other people perceive loan officers? Okay. So,
Well, I think a little bit of both. I think both would be beneficial for people to hear.
right. Well, in terms of my job, so everybody thinks we make a bunch of money and it's an easy job. It's not. It's very, very, very stressful. But in the long run, it's worth it. It really is worth it because um, it's just seeing the smiles in my clients' faces when they when they get the keys to their house. That to me is like so touching and so worth my whole stress, worth everything that we went through. Which, obviously, like we don't stress the clients out. We keep that behind the scenes over there,
Right.
and I'm over there crying in the corner. But I don't let my clients know that, because we're trying to do things behind the scenes. But other than that, it's to me that's the most rewarding thing. Just knowing that I spoke to my clients about 30 days ago, right before we first started the process, and they come in with like this fear and like this, expecting me to say, you know what, you don't qualify, go home, and that's the
Yeah.
last thing I ever want people to feel. So, for them to get their keys and them to see the enjoyment, and just not even the enjoyment, just the utter, just like, oh my God, we did something amazing. To me, that's all worth it. It's all worth the
That's
sweat, the
awesome.
tears, the everything. So that's my favorite part of my job. And the other thing is education. I love educating my clients because that's the other thing in terms of like the misconception with my business. People just don't know. They don't know that it's not that difficult to buy a house. People think that they need 25% down. You don't, and there's programs that will help you. And there's always some kind of solution to be able to get you into a loan. My saying is always everyone is a home buyer. Everyone. It's just showing them how to get there, right? Giving them the
That's
tools,
awesome.
giving them the pathway. But everyone's a home buyer. I mean, as long as you're over 18, but you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Everybody's a home buyer.
Yeah. I
but
love that.
but yeah, so to me it's just so important. And I guess my experience with when I bought my house, like I said, all I did was like, okay, tell me where to sign. I had no idea what mortgage insurance was. I had no idea what all this other stuff was. I was like, okay, whatever you say, whatever. And I remember feeling happy about, getting my house. But at the same time, I kind of felt lost in
Yeah.
terms of like, okay, so when do I make my first payment? So what was the rate again? Well, I already got my keys. I should have known my rate when I was going through the system, going through the process.
Yeah.
But, and that's why to me it's so important to be able to sit down with my clients and go over everything and make sure I answer every question that they have. And I always tell them, if let's say you leave our meeting and an hour from now you're like, oh my God, I forgot to ask Adriana this, text me and I will answer your question. I'm never going to be bothered because I understand the whole process can seem confusing. It's not confusing to me because I do it all day long, but it's confusing
Right.
to people that don't do this, and the
Yeah.
lingo, trust me, I'm like, huh, what are you
Right.
saying? So I
It's like Greek.
completely understand.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome. I love that. So when you're not working, right, hard for your clients, what do you do for fun?
I love to go to the gym. I relieve
Cute.
my stress there. I go to the
Yes.
gym at least 5 days a week, sometimes six. I just recently started playing softball, and that was a lot of fun. So I do that maybe once, twice, or sometimes twice a week. But and I don't know, just kind of do stuff like that, just to keep myself active. And I just love it because it's a good stress reliever. It keeps my heart rate up. So you
Yeah.
know, it always helps.
I love
And
that.
then
I
it
love that. We
helps get into
definitely have
shape.
yes. There's the added benefit. We should definitely go to the gym together because I love going to the gym for sure.
Yes, you should come
Um,
with me. It's so fun. I
yes.
love it.
Yes. So describe a hardship or life challenge that you rose above and now you can say that you're a better person or that you've gained all this knowledge or expertise.
A hardship. I know, like, at least with me, one of the things that when I first started, I cried every day to going to work on my way into work. So when I lived in Arizona, my office was about 45 minutes away from my house. And every day I would cry on the freeway. I'll never forget. I did that for almost 3 years.
Oh
And
wow.
my job was so stressful. So I almost quit. I almost left and said, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. It's just not worth it. Um, but I remember one day, I think I had one of those like aha moments where I realized, I know one of my managers kept telling me, he's like, stop taking everything so personal. Stop taking, just be a matter of fact. But I always felt bad, like, well, I feel bad for this. I feel bad for that. But sometimes things happen, like an appraisal will come in low. I would cry about it. Like I had nothing to do with it, but it would upset me because I knew I had to call my client and upset them and say, the appraisal come in low. We got to figure out what we're going to do now. And they would be upset and I would take it personally. So
Right.
I learned really, it took me a long time, but I finally learned that I can only control so much,
Right. Yeah.
and all I can do is, okay, let's find, instead of, crying over it and stressing over it, how about we just start, from fresh and let's see how we fix the problem. But it took me a while to do that. But now I think I got my license it'll be 12 years or no, 11 years, in October.
That's awesome. Well, you're getting ready to come up on your anniversary, so that's fantastic.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's crazy.
Time flies
and
when
now,
you're having fun.
I love what I do. I love it. And I love telling people about it and teaching people, about the process and how easy it is to like get pre-qualified,
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think that's a big benefit, right? Is pre-qualifying. Like before you even go out, know what cards you have in your hand so that you can set clear and realistic expectations, right? Like, yes, I would love to be able to go buy $1.5 million, but is that in my budget? Probably not.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't want to go look at the house and be like, oh my God, this is the house I'd love to live in. And my husband's like, yeah, we can't go. Let's go over here and look at this other house. So yeah, I totally get that. So what's one thing that you wish our listeners knew about your business?
Again, it's really not that difficult to get pre-qualified. And even if you're not ready, even if you're worried about your credit, because that's one of the things I always hear all the time is, I don't think my credit's there. You know what? It doesn't matter. Let's get started now, because if we pull credit now and you do have to work on your credit, I can tell you what you need to do. And let's start now. And it could take you 3 months. It could take you 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. But why wait 12 months from now and say, okay, now let's pull credit? Well, now you got to wait another 12 months. So it doesn't make sense to wait. Just look, and people worry about, it's stinging their credit. You know what? If you haven't had your credit pulled, for other things within the last 30 to 60 days for like auto loans or credit cards or, other different types of loan, it's really not going to affect your credit. If it affects your credit, maybe a couple points, know. So, but it's worth looking into it now because maybe you don't think you're there credit score wise, but you are, maybe you are. So to me, that's like, I feel like that's the number one thing that stops people from getting the process started. They're worried about that.
Yeah. Awesome. And that makes sense too. So how can our listeners get in contact with you or reach out to you or, just be able to so if they are thinking about starting that process, how can they reach out to you and get in contact with you?
The best way to reach me is on my cell phone. You can call me, you can text me, and that number is 602-332-8590. I know I still kept my Arizona number, but I've had it for like over 12 years. I've kept it. But yeah, that's the best way to reach me. And like I tell all my clients, if my eyes are open, I'm responding. So the only time I respond is because I'm sleeping. And that's 7
and you'll
days
get back to them. Yeah.
Yes.
And you'll get back to them whenever, as soon as your eyeballs open. So that's awesome. Well, I'm super excited. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing a little bit about your story and for people to get to know you. So I'm excited to have people reach out to you and start that process. It can be less scary when you have somebody who is knowledgeable. 11 years in the industry, you've seen it. You've seen the woo and you've seen the woo, right? And so having that knowledge to be able to share with them and sort of guide them along and hold their hand, I think is huge. That's essential. So not that anybody who's brand new in the industry, but if you can get somebody who's got some experience or some seasoning, I like to say it, then why not do that, right? So, and you'll love working with Adriana. She's just a fantastic human being. So thank you for being here again. I'm super excited that you're here. So everybody have a great day. Yeah, absolutely.
I speak Spanish. Hablo español. Don't forget.
No, I think that's super, super beneficial because that is so, speaking Italian and you and I, speak to are dual lingual, bilingual. Sorry, we're bilingual, but That's essential. When you can hear something, especially as complicated as getting a loan in your
Mhm.
own native language, there's
Yeah.
a level of understanding that far surpasses than than doing it in your secondary language. So finding somebody who can speak your language and tell you about that stuff is
Mhm.
huge. So yes, reach out to her. If you or somebody you know is Spanish speaking, native Spanish speaking,
Mhm.
like she's going to be able to help you and be able to, demystify it for you, if you will.
Yep.
Glad you added that because
Absolutely.
that's important. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for being here, and we'll see you on the next show.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Southside. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpsouthside.com. That's gnpsouthside.com or call 804-492-7720.